a fair bit more.
Well, it's all fine and dandy discussing executive saloons, small SUVs in the $300,000 price range. However, for the mass market, if you're, a young fresh grad or student looking for something different, then
hot hatchbacks. And what we have here today for you is the Satya Neo CPS, which is the enhanced version of the Satya Neo that was launched 3 years back. This time they have a meaner looking body kit which caters more to the youth. And right now, let's see what Adrian has to say about it.
And this is it, the Proton Satya Neo CPS. This spunky little car that you see behind me really does have quite a lot to live up to. For no matter what people might say, it is the spiritual successor to the original Proton Satya GTI 1.8. That is, of course, unless Proton's gonna tell us they have another GTI coming along, perhaps with a turbocharged engine? You never know. The original Proton Satya GTI had great reviews in its day by motoring journalists in Australia and the UK, cited as having tight, precise and enjoyable handling thanks to its Lotus Tune suspension. But in reality, it was more than just a great driver's hatchback. I personally have met a couple of beautiful young daughters of rich tycoons who seriously considered a Satya GTI over a Peugeot 206. The Satya GTI was happening. It was an it car. So who actually would want to buy a Satya Neo CPS? If you look at it with its aggressive hot hatch styling, it is quite obviously squarely targeted at the younger crowd. The stylish, pretentious students, fresh graduates, yuppies, and hobbits. I say hobbits because it is incredibly cramped trying to get in the back. You've got to act like Gollum. Yeah, my precious. And it's so tight. Woo. So, it's not just the rear that is cramped, but also, by Galadriel, but also the front. You see, I am 5'10", what I would assume the heroic regal Aragorn would be. And even then, it's fairly difficult to find a good driving position. The seats are too high, and the steering wheel is too close to my knees. But other than that, feels cozy, I'd say. And then, of course, there is the styling. The Satya Neo CPS is very aggressive in its styling. It is definitely controversial, for sure. For good or for worse, the CPS definitely makes the headlines. It's like the original Satya GTI, where it was universally stylish and sporty. The Neo CPS is simply boisterously boyish. It's like comparing the intricate elven architecture in Rivendell to the diggings of the dwarves in the mines of Moria that unleashed the Balrog. It's very, very different. So before we head off, let's put it all together. We have a car that's worth 57,000 ringgit. It's boisterously designed, styled by the Balrog from the mines of Moria. It will fit 4 hobbits, and if you're lucky, probably Gollum as well. And with 125 horsepower, take them comfortably all across Middle-earth to the gates of Mordor. The Satya Neo has been around for about 3 years now, and even back then we realized that the problem was the 1.6 litre Camco engine, which didn't have the power to match the looks of this car. But even then, one thing that we did remember and we realized was that it handled beautifully. It had a very lively rear end, which was still predictable on the limit. Only the most hopeless of drivers would complain of understeer. So driving the Satya Neo is all about keeping the revs up, keeping the RPM boiling above 4,000 RPM, where the CPS comes into play. Drop below that, and the car isn't as zippy as you would have thought it would be, even though it has 125 miles of horsepower. Handling is still as precise as I recall it to be, Just turn in and it just holds onto its line when you accelerate. Brilliant. So it really is a nippy, zippy little car. The work that they have done on the rider handling is good. It hasn't detracted from what the car used to be. Even though I know that they've adjusted the front and rear track to try and make the car a bit more linear, a bit more neutral in the cornering. Very nice. We're all too familiar with the name Proton being synonymous with bad quality and many complaints in our country. And a lot of people like to compare them to the Korean cars, saying the Korean cars are so much better. However, I beg you, name me one Korean car within this particular segment, 1.6 hatchback, which is as sporty as a Satra Neo CPS. And I cannot for the life of me think of one. Koreans are probably good at appliances, TVs, refrigerators, washing machines, but they do not ever have the sportiness or the character that this little car over here has. Having said that, as a product marketing measure, the Satra Neo CPS really is pretty successful. If you're in that segment, it really is something you want to aspire to. I personally don't fall into that segment anymore, but if I did, I have to agree, it would be something I want to.